Sometimes we act like a fool, not aware we're troublemakers. Sometimes we try to be cool, not being givers, only takers.
Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm sharing with you 10 super easy and quick Dollar Tree Easter and spring DIYs. I hope you enjoy them. We are starting off the first one with this trick-or-treat sign that I had on hand. You can really use any type of a sign that you might have, or if you have a piece of wood, this will make it even a shorter craft. So I took some time to sand off some of these sparkly things here, just so they don't show through. They still end up showing a little bit, so you might have to do a couple coats or see if you can heat this up and peel it right off. Because of the technique that I was using, I wasn't too concerned about it. So once I had all the sparkles off, I painted mine with an old ochre paint from Annie Sloan. It's a chalk paint. It is a creamy colored chalk paint. This does not mean that you have to do this in the same color as I did. This is just what I did and I'm sharing with you. So I gave it a one coat, and you could still see that when it was dry, it was still showing up a little bit, but no worries, I have a solution for that as well. Then I took this Happy Easter sign from Dollar Tree. I actually had this on hand. I think I got it either last year or the year before. And then I got some hot glue. Once I had removed the little rope, I got some hot glue and some deer moss, and I just separated my deer moss so it's easier for me to work with. And I worked in little sections using a little makeup applicator spatula to press down the deer moss, and also I trimmed it off a little bit. This way I made sure I did not burn any of my fingers, and the reason why I'm working in little sections is so that way I can really focus on that section without worrying that the glue is going to completely dry on me before I move on to it. I also want to mention that today's video is part of a collaboration. A whole bunch of us ladies got together and we are sharing Easter around the world. That's what the collab is called, and it is hosted by Siege DIY. I will have her channel as well as the playlist linked down below, so make sure you head on over and check out what everybody is creating for this Easter around the world collab. So once I had my deer moss on, I went ahead and painted the letters. I am using a very soft light pink to paint the happy, and then I'm going to go ahead with the green on the bottom. The pink paint is an acrylic paint by Folk Art. It's in a seashell pink, and the green paint is by American Decor, and it's called New Life, and it is the chalky finish paint. I really love the softness of these colors, and they're not overly bright because these type of colors go better with my decor rather than the bright pinks and bright greens. But you can really paint this any way you want. You could even stain it. I was contemplating about staining it if I was leaving my backboard painted, but I will be staining my backboard, so staining the letters wouldn't show up as well. So this is why I ended up painting my letters. But the possibilities are endless with the color combinations that you can do here. So once my board was dry, I took my gel paint. I think this gel paint is in aged oak, and I just applied it with a brush, going back and forth as much as I could, kind of trying to replicate a wood grain. So once I had this on, I just kept going over it and over it and over it. You could also take a rag and wipe some of it off if that's what you want. This is what I did, but you can also just leave it and let it dry. As you can see, some of that stuff is still showing up. So I would suggest, if you don't want any of it to show up, to simply peel it off or turn it around and use the other side. Because I was gluing this onto it, it was covering all of that stuff up. So I wasn't too concerned about it. But if you just want to leave it painted, I would definitely apply a couple coats on it, and that should cover it as well. So once I had this exactly where I wanted it, I put some glue on it and glued it on. I do really love the way this turned out, and the backboards does look like it's wood with all the wood grain showing through. For my next DIY, keeping with the wood theme, I had these giant eggs that I had picked up at Dollar Tree. Again, I think it was last year, and I'm using that aged oak stain and just staining them with a brush and then wiping the stain off. I applied 2 coats to achieve the darkness that I wanted to. So depending on how dark you want them, that's how many coats you apply. I did do a couple different techniques. Once I painted on and then wiped off, and then the other one I had painted it or stained it, and then I had dabbed the egg with a cloth instead of wiping it all off. And I would recommend, if you don't want your hands to get completely stained, to keep the egg on the rag the whole time, and that way you won't get the fingerprints on the egg either as well. This prevents that too. I've been wanting to add some giant wood eggs to my decor just because it goes well with my current style of my home, but I wasn't able to find any at the store, so I came up with an idea to try and stain it. I wasn't sure how the plastic would take to it, but it turned out pretty good, and I was quite pleased with the end result. Now I just have to figure out how I'm going to style my home with these. And if you want to see how I do that, make sure you head on over to my home channel, where I'm doing tons of Easter decorating right now. And you can really see how I'm using a lot of my DIYs in my decor. For the next one, this one was kind of one craft, but ended up with 2 projects come out of it. So I'm using these square pieces of wood from Dollar Tree. They come in a set of 3, I think. And then also the little wooden egg and the little wooden bunny that also came from Dollar Tree. I was pretty lucky this year. I only bought 1 or 2 things for my Easter DIYs. I had all the other ones on hand, and it was time that I started using up everything that I have on hand so I can make room for new projects. So I took the egg and the bunny, and I just used some tape, a normal tape, and taped them to the squares. So to each square. And then I took the same stain that I've been using and stain the outside of the bunny and the egg, so the board, whatever was left over once I covered them with the egg and the bunny. I hope that makes some sense, but you will see it shortly. and I just moved in the direction of the wood grain as you saw. And once I was done staining the pieces of wood, I removed the egg and the bunny, and as you can see, here is my first project. It turned out pretty nice. I really like that. I think these would be great for a small tray or a tiered tray decor. And then here are the ones that were taped on. I think these turned out really nice as well. Again, great for small decor pieces. The next one was probably the easiest out of all the DIYs that I've created. I've had this sign from last year again, and I was going to just use it in my decor because I really think it's such a pretty sign. But then I thought, I'm gonna make it even prettier, make it a little bit three-dimensional. So I had these carrots, again from Dollar Tree, and I ended up just trimming off the green tissue that was there for as leaves, and gluing these over top of the other carrots that were already drawn on the picture. This gave the sign just a three-dimensional effect and really took me under a minute to DIY. Now, the one thing that I didn't realize as much until I was editing this video is how off-center the white part of the picture is to the board. So if that's something that bothers you, I would recommend that you pop it off and glue it more towards the center. I've seen people even just darken or even add some aged wax to it to make it look even more antique. But I love the way this turned out. I think it's gonna look great in my kitchen or wherever I choose to use it. The last DIY that I'm going to be doing is this little wreath that came, or a sign that came from Dollar Tree. This is a new item for this year that they have. We did not have these last year, and I just love the way it looks. I love with the little beaded accent around it. I think it's great. So I'm going to use the same stain, so the theme is kind of same throughout. Again, you don't have to use the stain, same stain. You don't even have to use the stain at all. You can just paint it. I'm just giving you an idea, and how you guys execute it, that is totally up to you. All of our styles are very different, so you know, if you like it, do it the same. If not, use different colors. So I am staining again, moving in the same direction of the grain, because you could see the grain a little bit, and I'm going to stain the whole piece. I was contemplating about painting the little beads, but I thought it was going to be way too hard without getting the background all painted as well. So I just stained it, wiped it off, and then the bunny I painted in that soft pink, the seashell. It's called the seashell pink, but very, very lightly. So to give it almost an antique look, that's what I was going for. So didn't quite dry brush it on, but I did brush very little paint on it. And then once I was done painting it, I did take that rag and wipe it down a little bit as well, just to blend the color in. And I just love how this turned out. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to check out the playlist link down below, and I will see you all in my next video. Thanks for watching. Next DIY, I had some of these white ceramic bunnies. I'm just using one of them from Dollar Tree on hand from previous years, and I'm going to spray paint it with a chalky black paint. And I'm going to kind of do the same thing. If you guys watched my vintage Christmas ornaments, Christmas ball ornaments that I made, that is what I wanted to do with this bunny. But while so I spray painted black, and while the bunny is drying, I am going to move on to another DIY, and then I'm going to go back to Bunny in a little bit. So I had this pillar candle holder, I think that's what they're called, or pedestal candle holder on hand. They came from, I'm not sure whether it was Dollar Tree. I think it was Dollar Tree. It might have been Dollarama. I've had a whole bunch of them at home. And I'm going to use the Balsam Blue from Annie Sloan. And I'm going to give it one light coat of that paint. And then I'm going to follow with the black paint. And then I'm going to blend them in with a little, I'm going to do a little blending with the rag. So you want the paint not to be fully dried before you move on to your next coat. So while that is drying a little bit, I'm going to go back to my bunny, which is almost dry. He's almost dry, and I'm going to rub on cinnamon all over him. And I just love how vintage cinnamon made this bunny look. I had loved doing this with my ornaments, and I really love the way it looks on the bunny as well. And you just brush off any cinnamon that was left over. We are starting off this video with some tulip DIY. These tulips I had on hand. They came from Dollar Tree. I just pulled them apart for different projects. So these were left over, as well as some crafter's foam, and this bowl, this pot, the white pot I had on hand. And you will also need some moss and some rocks or stones or pebbles or whatever you have on hand. So once I had cut the foam to size, I did shove it in there. You could also hot glue it in if you would like. Mine fit pretty snug, so I'm not too worried that it's going to fall out. I am thinking of using this outside on my front porch on the little table, so I am going to weigh it down with a little bit more rocks around where there's room for the rocks to go on the sides, just to make it a little bit heavier. You could also cover the top with the rocks, or you can cover it with just moss, or both, like I am doing. I thought I was going to add more, but then I didn't quite love the look of it, so I decided to take out some of the bigger ones and just leave the little ones on there. I just love how simple and easy this is, and so spring-like. I think it's going to look really nice on my front porch and add that extra spring feel to it, without having to worry about tulips dying on me. For the next one, this one's so simple. I had picked up these rounds at Dollarama for $2.50. They are new to me. I haven't seen them before, and they're quite thick actually. So I just wish they were a touch bigger. They were perfect for this project, but if they were a little bit bigger, I think they would look great as a wreath, because they are so nice and thick, as you can see. And then I am using a page out of one of those Dollar Tree calendars, and I really like this one. I think it screams Easter and spring for sure. So I just scored around, so that way I know exactly how I want to cut it out, and then I cut it out. You could also just fully cut it out with your crafter's knife if that's what you want to do. I just find that it's never quite as neat as if I were to cut it out. And then I'm going to use Mod Podge to glue this on. I am putting Mod Podge on the bottom. You can put it on the bottom and the top, and I just broke my foam brush, as you saw, so I'm just going to use this other brush because I'm all out of foam brushes. And yeah, so I'm going to put it on. Then I have this little push tool just to get all the air bubbles out and to smooth it out. And once I was completely satisfied and there were no bubbles or the least amount of bubbles, I took my sanding block and I just sanded around the edges, and then I also sanded a little bit on the top. It just makes it look a little bit duller, not as bright, which is kind of what I prefer. Almost makes it look like it's been out in the sun for a while and it aged. I do love that look. And then now you can leave it as is. You can add a border to it if you want. I am just going to add some rope to the back of it so I can hang it up if I want to. And then over to that rope, I am going to add a ribbon. Now I was thinking about adding both of these, but as you will see at the end, I just decided to add the one color on it. Do you guys decorate for Easter? I kind of incorporate both spring and Easter together, and then I do remove the Easter stuff and have spring for a while once Easter is done. I am looking forward to that decor because I love the brightness and how cheerful it makes my house look. So I think here it is. This definitely brings that cheerfulness to the decor if that's what you are looking for. The last project was a little bit more involved, but it was still very easy. I have these bunny cutouts that I had gotten from my friend Sandra. Now, if you want to, make sure you go check out Sandra's Etsy shop because she sells craft kits. I'm not sure if you guys knew that. I will have it linked in the description box, but if you are looking for great DIYs for your home decor, these kits are really, really nice, and they kind of take the guesswork out of you. Everything's pre-cut and you just assemble it the way you want it. So I will have her Etsy shop linked down below so you can go and check it out. So I was debating how I was going to use these bunnies because I love the wood look that they have, and I kind of wanted to keep that as is. I didn't want to paint them or anything like that. So this took me a little while to figure out what I wanted to do, and then I decided I was going to make this little scene with them, and I think this is going to look great on top of a fireplace or in a coffee table. I just love the way it turned out. So I'm staggering them, gluing them staggered onto a piece of wood, keeping everything in its wood color, because if you had watched my home channel, you can see a lot of my decor is natural wood now, incorporated with some black tones. So this is what I wanted to keep it at. And the little bunnies from Dollar Tree are a perfect shape to go with this project. And then I also took these carrots from Dollar Tree and glued them to the edge. And then I have these little nests from Dollar Tree as well, but I don't love the color of the nest. So I decided to take some of that deer moss that I had and create a little bit of a nest out of them, just pretty much gluing them in a circle on top to make it look like a nest, and then I'm going to glue the eggs to it. I love the way this turned out. Like I said, I think it's going to be a great piece, a great addition to my decor, or great piece to add to my decor. Well, let me know what you guys think. Let me know which one was your favorite. Don't forget to check out the playlist as well as the ladies' channels linked down below. And if you're stopping by from the playlist, I would love it if you consider subscribing and pressing that notification bell so you don't miss out any of my future uploads. I would love to have you be part of my YouTube family. So until next time, hope you guys have a wonderful day, and thank you so much for watching.